What's the scariest thing going on in our world right now that not enough people know/talk about? There is straight up, actual human slavery that is going on in parts of the world. We've just kind of been collectively uninformed/ignoring it, and it's really fuck. I've definitely noticed a decline in the number of bees and monarch butterflies over the years. I used to see hundreds of both every spring. This year I haven't seen a monarch, and honeybees is less than 20. It's crazy to see such drastic changes in less than a decade. Not the scariest, but a lot of the people who helped clean up the BP oil spill from Horizon are suffering long-term medical issues. Their case has been essentially swept under the rug. There's also the Taylor offshore oil spill in Louisiana that's been putting hundreds of barrels of crude every day into the ocean since 2004. They still don't know how to fix it. Let that sink in. An active oil spill that's been going on for 15 years and no one knows about it. The people that do don't know how to fix it. The volume will soon overtake Deepwater Horizon as the largest spill ever, except without public knowledge and outcry we can probably expect this to not get fixed anytime soon. When Texas flooded during Hurricane Harvey, there were 13 Superfund sites that got hit. A Superfund site is an area where there are hazardous substances or pollutants on a huge scale. A bunch of chemicals got swept away into those floodwaters and no one will know the effect for years. Superbug STDs and other superbug infections. An incurable gonorrhea is now a thing. Damn Coachella. Prion diseases like chronic wasting syndrome. At my university there's a team of researchers who follow up on a family who ate a deer with CWD. I think it's been about 10 years now since they started studying them, but it's definitely scary. The continuous nope, nothing yet. The sterilization crisis in the medical device industry and how it impacts our access to safe medical products, and on top of that how major companies have been off-gassing toxic ethylene oxide gas that has been causing cancer in people who live next to factories for years and no one gave a shit. Plastic. It's everywhere. In our waste. In our food. In our bodies. In our drinking water. Obviously we know it's in the sea. Sure, grocery stores are slowly rolling out not using plastic bags, which is awesome. But it's scary how it's taken over everything in our lives. Even in money. We can't stop using it, yet it's building up waste everywhere, and it's causing issues in our bodies with all the microbits we have consumed. Kessler syndrome. The sky above us, space is getting flooded with orbital debris. Some of the pieces aren't even detectable. So those pieces hit satellites, which turns into more debris which hits more satellites. It could just end with no more GPS, signal, research and more. Planes would also be disrupted along with boats due to their communication system. It would take years to recover from this. The insects are dying. And by that the food chain is disrupted and we can say goodbye to a majority of other species. The amount of microplastics, medicine and unkillable pathogens in wastewater treatment. Due to the relatively low medicine concentrations, bacteria and viruses are building up resilience against the common antibacteria and antiviral medicine, which will eventually form a superpathogen that requires a totally new production method. Microplastics are very destructive to aquatic life and will do a lot of damage to the marine life. Water in general will be the new oil due to climate change, so that won't be fun either. Antibiotic resistance and the overprescribing of them. I don't think this gets talked about nearly enough, and it's already a problem. I remember reading an article recently that said in the future antibiotic-resistant bacteria-related deaths will surpass cancer deaths. We no longer have any form of privacy or anonymity, no matter how hard we try to keep it. The collapse of the insect population. Over the past 5 to 10 years, the insect population in our neighborhood has tanked. No more fireflies, no more bees, no more butterflies. And this year was the first year toads didn't come to our swimming pool and have their orgy. It's terrifying how quickly these changes have taken place. Erosion of personal privacy. Right. With the internet, smartphones and social medias, there are so many problems because of this. The companies just spy on us blatantly. Everyone knows about this but nothing is done. And because of smartphones and constant online presence, your job can also invade your personal privacy. My manager sometimes messages me at like 10 p.m. or even later for something work-related. Sure, I am not obligated to reply, but still, I hate seeing that when I'm supposed to be chilling at home far from work. That PR, advertising and marketing have infected our minds so much virtually all of people's lives are now about perception manipulation. Changing the way you think about things and how other people think about things. Presenting yourself and your life correctly, saying the right words, parroting the right ideas. We are so self-obsessed we think our perception is reality. We are forgetting that what we think and say is nowhere near as important as what we do. In the frozen ice of Antarctica there are really old bacteria. Older than humans. If the ice melts then those bacteria would release, and since nobody is resistant against them, who knows what's gonna happen. Last night I watched the documentary Dark Money on Amazon Prime. It focuses on Montana as a microcosm of how corporate interests are attempting to wind back the clock to the days when a company could control government. Basically, they look back at the company town mentality of 100 years ago and the model where wealthy business owners could buy an entire legislature and say that's awesome, let's do that. Checks and balances? Oversight? Journalism? Some form of structure that would stave off corrupt practices? They're working towards a paradigm where none of that is active, and democracy is as dead as last year's flowers. Right here in the land of the free. I'm not sure if it's the scariest for the short term, but the death of reality. By that I mean how almost every person giving us information, news, blogs, is fabricating or obscuring the truth for better profits. They understand anger keeps people interested and coming back, and go to disturbing lengths to push for those narratives. Trying to follow a news story most of the time is jumping from hyperlink to hyperlink between different news sites with no originating source to be found. I've seen a TED Talk where the speaker openly mocked any sort of critical discourse of his topic that went unnoticed or uncaring. I thought Vice was pretty good, but they also started being openly biased and made me question their authenticity. Unbiased journalism is dying as far as I can see, and it's rarely discussed. The Argus's real-time surveillance system can fly for months at a time and has a camera array that can track every moving object even a few inches small in a 36 square miles radius. It streams 6,000 terabytes of footage a day and all of it is processed real-time for asset and target location on the ground. They're used domestically and internationally. If you live in DC, Maryland, or northern VA, chances are there's at least one tracking you right now and recording all your movements into a threat assessment database. Here's a video documentary of it flying over Maryland and some of the tech behind it. I think the scariest thing is that everyone is talking about things that should terrify us, but we're all too apathetic to care. The abnormal decline in insect populations around the world. If the insects die out, our crops won't grow. The entire food chain will collapse when the insects keep declining in biomass, and so will civilization.